The story begins with a scene of a mother and her daughter on the verge of death, but how and why? That is what we will learn later. We are then introduced to Layla, a mother of a young boy named Ish. One day, while picking him up from school, she bumps into a man who turns out to be Garrison, her son's new teacher. He introduces himself and invites her to attend a parent-teacher meeting, and she promises she will come. When Layla returns home, she finds her husband Peter packing his bags as usual, preparing for another trip. She looks upset, but Peter doesn't seem to care. When their son comes to say goodbye and accidentally drops his tablet, Peter snaps at him angrily. Layla intervenes, saying, "Isn't it enough that you're always away from us? At least make your son feel your presence." Her frustration grows when she discovers that Peter's secretary will be traveling with him, raising her suspicions of an affair. The next day, during the parents' meeting, Garrison shares his ideas about raising children. Layla's friend seems impressed by him and even considers asking for a private meeting, but Layla advises her to be calm and patient. The following day, Layla meets Garrison again at school. He tries to get closer to her, but she responds coldly and walks away. That night, feeling lonely because of her husband's absence, Layla suddenly finds Garrison at her doorstep, holding her son's forgotten tablet. Since he was drenched from the rain, she invites him inside. While talking, he notices her sadness, and she confides in him about her husband's neglect and her doubts about his secretary. Taking advantage of her vulnerability, Garrison tries to get closer to her, and she responds to his advances, but then he suddenly pulls away and leaves. When Peter returns, Layla confronts him about his neglect, but he remains unchanged and leaves on another trip. During this time, Garrison sends Layla a message asking her to check under her doorstep. She finds a card with a hotel address and another message saying he will be waiting for her that night. Layla goes to the hotel and draws closer to him. The next day, the school principal tells Layla that Garrison often praises her and admires her efforts with her son. Layla later thanks him, unaware that another mother, Courtney, sees them together. That evening, Garrison texts her, saying he is upset and wants to see her, but she completely ignores him. Meanwhile, Peter returns from his trip with a completely different attitude. He tells her he has taken time off to be with them and that his secretary is about to get married. Surprised, Layla realizes she may have been wrong about them. Peter even admits he knew about her suspicions but actually appreciated her care and jealousy. At that moment, Garrison is outside, watching them. The following morning, Courtney confronts Layla, accusing her of having an affair with Garrison, saying, "Shame on you, you're a mother." Shocked, Layla goes straight to Garrison to tell him their relationship must end and that what happened was a mistake. She also warns him that Courtney had seen them together. Soon after, Courtney's daughter suddenly falls ill, and it is Garrison who carries her to the ambulance. There, he tells Layla that this is actually good for them, because Courtney will now be too busy caring for her daughter to interfere. But at that moment, it becomes clear that Garrison himself is the real cause of the little girl's sickness. At night, Garrison sent Layla another message telling her he wanted to meet her, but she didn't reply. While her husband was on the phone, Layla noticed Garrison watching them from outside. She went out to check, but he was gone. The next day, Layla was shocked to discover that her husband had met Garrison. When Peter's vacation ended, he left on another trip. That night, Garrison sent her another message inviting her to dinner, but she refused. Later, when she saw her son wearing a necklace that belonged to Garrison, she became furious, only to be further terrified when she spotted Garrison watching her from a distance. At that moment, her friend Ellie arrived and invited them to dinner together. Layla hesitated at first, but Ellie insisted until she finally agreed to go. As soon as Layla entered the restaurant, she discovered that her husband hadn't traveled at all. He had arranged a surprise dinner. Her confusion only deepened when she saw Garrison there too, realizing that her husband had invited him. In the restroom, Garrison followed her and began threatening to expose their relationship to her husband, telling her that she now belonged to him and that he would never let her go. His true nature as a toxic and dangerous man was revealed. Terrified of being exposed, Layla had no choice but to listen. Later, she confessed everything to her friend Ellie, her relationship with Garrison and how he had been stalking her. Ellie was angry and scolded her, but Layla explained that she had been weak and lonely, convinced that her husband was cheating. She then asked Ellie to visit Garrison's house to find out more about him. When Layla returned home, someone knocked on the door. Thinking it was Ellie, she opened it only to find Garrison, and she immediately slammed the door in his face. But her relief was short-lived when her husband opened the door for him. Losing her composure in the face of Garrison's threats and harassment, Layla broke down. Afterward, Peter reproached her for everything that had happened with Garrison. Meanwhile, Layla spotted Garrison standing outside staring at her, which pushed her to the verge of collapse. That same night, Layla went to the address of Garrison's house, only to discover it was an old property listed for sale. A neighbor told her that the mother and daughter who had died at the beginning of the film were actually his wife and daughter, who had suffocated from a gas leak. Since their deaths, he had changed completely, becoming aggressive. The neighbor also mentioned that she hadn't seen him for a while and that he used to own a cabin where he spent holidays with them. Perhaps he was there. The next day, Ellie came to Layla and shared everything she had learned, warning her about Garrison and advising her not to leave the house until they figured out what to do. Layla spent the day at home with her son, but suddenly the computer turned on by itself. She realized Garrison had installed spyware on them. Horrified, she stepped outside to check if he was there, only to be shocked when she found him inside the house. Terrified, she fainted, and Garrison took advantage of the moment to kidnap her son, Ish. Layla was taken to the hospital, where she confessed to her husband about her relationship with Garrison, saying that at the time she was lonely and needed someone to listen to her. Peter forgave her immediately, but her fear of Garrison soon turned into nightmares. Later, she returned once again to his old house, where she found him waiting. He attacked her, screaming, "No one will take my wife and daughter from me." Layla tried to reason with him, telling him she wasn't his wife or daughter, but he refused to listen and nearly killed her. Meanwhile, the police were searching everywhere for Layla's son. Layla then remembered what Ellie had told her about the cabin and called her husband, telling him about it before heading there herself. As soon as she arrived, Garrison attacked her, but she managed to strike him and distract him by triggering a car alarm. She then entered the cabin and discovered disturbing photos of women and children, his previous victims. Garrison attacked her again, calling her by his late wife's name, and beat her until she lost consciousness. When she woke, he was still ranting, and she realized his wife and daughter's death had driven him into madness, filling him with hatred toward happy families. Layla exploited his delusion by pretending to be his wife, then struck him in the leg and tried to escape. But he caught her again. Just as he was about to finish her off, her husband arrived and saved her. Garrison then threatened to kill their son, but Layla cleverly outwitted him, rescued Ish, and struck Garrison down. Moments later, the police arrived and arrested him. As for Layla, Peter, and their son, they returned to live together in happiness and stability after everything they had been through. And with that, the story comes to an end. If you enjoyed the movie, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video so you can receive our latest uploads.